Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So just recently, Faizon Love made the headlines, if you will, more like he was being slightly drugged for filth because of some comments that he recently made concerning the situation with P. Diddy, Cassie, and the charges that he was getting. This man took to the internet looking like he had just gotten out of bed, threw some clothes on, and it was right before brunch, and had the audacity to make some very, very ignorant comments. This is why I keep saying that illiteracy and ignorance has run amok in the black community, especially even so where your celebrities are concerned, your favorite actors, comedians, football players, basketball players. People don't care to read, to do research before they say stuff about certain individuals or certain situations that are very serious. And sometimes it causes people to mock and scoff the people who are the victims and what has actually happened. Now, according to the people from Instagram, didn't really seem like they were mocking and scoffing. It just seemed like they were going in on him for the goofy mess he let come out of his mouth. Now, I'm not going to even subject y'all to the video that he posted allegedly on Instagram. I'm just going to give y'all a brief summary, and this article basically summarizes what he said. So he said that he heard about what was going on. He agreed that he felt like he should have been locked up just for what he did to Cassie alone after he saw the video. And that's a whole nother conversation we can have in and of itself. Why does it take somebody having to get caught on camera and then that being exposed 10, 15 years later, somebody literally getting beat like a dog in a hotel room for you to say, oh yeah, he was out here doing stuff, even though he was already alluding to a lot of the stuff that he was doing. It was all in everything that he did, how he carried himself, how he conducted himself. There were people who worked directly around him and with him who said that he was shady, that he was doing things. I didn't said this before. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, had been making these accusations. Y'all know we have to say allegations, allegedly since the 90s. Allegedly, Natanya Rubin came out decades ago. She's been trying to get justice for decades, trying to sue him and let people know what he did to her in that club back in the 90s. That allegedly Jennifer Lopez had something to do with it because allegedly she was carrying the GUN that he used to do it with. And she refused to help this woman by admitting who she knew did what he did and that she was allegedly carrying the gun, allegedly. But I feel like, and people can say, oh, you're just, saying that, just be saying it. You're being petty. You always say these things. They're always doing these things. I honestly believe that, once again, the only reason why he said that is because there was video evidence that we finally all saw with our own eyes, which it should not have had to get to that point. But I believe he only said that because it was Cassie, somebody who looks like Cassie, and because, once again, we had hard evidence. Once again, should not have had to have that to know that this dude was already screwing people over. Not everybody's lying. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I say this all the time. But then he goes on talking about how he's confused, apparently, which I guess he really should have looked at my video that I put out not too long ago, talking about the charges, breaking down what racketeering and trafficking is, and why he got charged with those things. Because if you just do a little research, like I said in that video, and you pay attention to what he actually did, you read the articles, you read what's in the indictment, you read the definition of trafficking and racketeering, then you'll understand why he got charged with what he got charged with. But I guess he was trying to be cute and funny by saying he didn't understand why Diddy was being charged with racketeering. Then I guess he was trying to crack a joke, and people were saying, we get that you're a comedian, and this is why I keep saying, not everything is a joke. There are some things that need to be off limits, because then you have comedians like Faizon who try to get on the internet and make a joke out of a situation that is not a joke, because he's trying to joke about a man who is allegedly out here trafficking minors, R-wording minors, R-wording both men and women, spiking bottles to get them high out of their minds, like I said before in the other videos, so that he could take advantage of them and they wouldn't be able to stop him. That's not anything to joke about. And to try and make a joke about it, he's disgusting for that. I said what I said. Once again, him claiming he didn't understand why P. Devil Combs was getting charged with what he was getting charged with, the racketeering, the trafficking. Meanwhile, all of his people, his followers in the comment section were saying, bruh, there were possibly allegedly minors involved. He was out here trafficking people, forcing them to do X, Y, Z. So they understood, but he didn't. It speaks volumes to his illiteracy once again. And the information is out there. The indictment papers were unsealed. Anybody has access to them. You could literally Google them and read them yourself. So there's no excuse for that level, once again, of ignorance and illiteracy. He also joked about the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, talking about maybe he was just ashy. Once again, not really something to joke about, because this proves that there were allegedly freak-offs going in at his home. And once again, those bottles of baby oil were being used to do things with, to, and involving people who were not consenting. A lot of these people were on cameras they didn't consent to being on. So again, it's really not something to joke about. It's really not something that you should be finding funny at all. I mentioned in the previous video that it was shameful and indicated ungodly activity, ungodly levels of ungodly activity. But it's really not funny. And then it also just kind of took the cake when he basically said, and I quote, "When has being nasty been a federal crime?" End quote. Another thing that took the cake, well, two other things, was when he said, oh, he's an imperfect person, but he's not a criminal. I'm failing to understand how he can admit in one part of the video that P. Devil Combs needed to be in prison for beating up Cassie the way that he did, but then later in the video, only a couple of seconds later, that he's not a criminal. And also the audacity of him to say, oh, this whole idea of they're just trying to take this black man down. Oh, they just had to use something to try to bring him down. It's giving you're talking out of two sides of your mouth. You need to make a decision. And a lot of people were calling that out as well in the Instagram comments. We're going to take a look at those in a little bit. But let's address this situation, this particular part where, like I said, he was up here basically trying to exonerate P. Devil Combs, because that's what this is. Him saying that, oh, he's imperfect, but he's not a criminal. All of the people who have come out and filed lawsuits, what you got to understand is, yes, there are people who do lie whenever they file lawsuits. But as many of these people who have filed lawsuits, with the details that they have said that all line up, once again, not everybody is lying. It's very, very hard for this many people to file a lawsuit against somebody, once again, with that many details that all prove each other on somebody who didn't do anything wrong, on somebody who's not a criminal. The federal authorities don't just raid people's homes for no reason. If they're raiding your home, it's because they know you've done something you had no business doing. And they're either getting you to hold you accountable where the law is concerned, or like P. Devil Combs, because you're up there and they've been overlooking you all this time now that you done stepped on somebody's toes that's above you, that you had no business messing with and stepping on their toes to begin with. They're about to make you pay. I'm also a little befuddled because, once again, where was he when all these lawsuits were coming out? Once again, they're all saying the same things. Even Natanya Rubin, and I've mentioned this before, she said that she thought it was very interesting whenever Lil Rod filed his lawsuit and said and mentioned in the lawsuit allegedly that there was a point in time where P. Devil Combs was essentially bragging. He was stroking his ego, talking about, oh yeah, I shot this person in the club back in the day, allegedly. He put that in his lawsuit, and Natanya Rubin said, well, that's mighty interesting, because she was the alleged person, y'all know I gotta say alleged, who got shot in the club by him, allegedly. So again, when the details are lining up like that, I don't understand how somebody can walk in that level of ignorance. And there's not that much ignorance in the world. I mean, I know that there are some people, it's really sad, the level, like I said, of ignorance they're willing to embrace. But at this point, this is not ignorance. He has willingly overlooked what this man has done to co-sign his behavior, to just make it look like and chalk it up to, once again, oh, y'all are just trying to take another black man down. And again, this is the same black man who allegedly took other black men down. That's why I know that it's all a bunch of hypocritical bull crap. They're just saying this stuff because they find identity in P. Devil Combs because he's a black man and he doesn't want him to go to jail for his crime. This is why we as black people need to stop it with this putting on a pedestal of our blackness or other black people. Just because he's a black man does not mean that we can't speak out against him because he's done something wrong. And you know what the sad thing is? People are up here co-signing his behavior and covering for him because he's black and because he's a black man. Meanwhile, he was out here hurting mostly people within the black community, hurting other black men, allegedly, hurting other black women, allegedly. Now, yes, there were some other people, allegedly, and we're going to talk about another lawsuit that was filed just recently by another non-black individual. But he mostly hurt brutally black people. So it's like I said, hypocritical bullcrap that's lacking in common sense. Where has the common sense been misplaced? Another thing people were calling out that I have an issue that disturbs me that he said was when he basically said, once again, when it's nasty been a federal crime, when it's being nasty been a federal crime. He's really trying to act like this man was just out here going around to different men and women asking for their consent to participate in orgies. That's not what the case was. Allegedly, once again, this man was going around getting people to come to his house, to hotel rooms, to parties. Low-key, basically, allegedly blackmailing people. If you don't come to this party with me, then XYZ is going to happen. Remember what we talked about in the lawsuit concerning Dawn Richard. She was talking about how she felt like she really had no choice but to be at those parties, where she witnessed him doing all kind of things with people who looked like they were high out of their minds, and also allegedly looked like they were not of the proper age to be in relationships and relations, so to speak, with adults. So there were people there that probably didn't even want to be there, allegedly. There were people, once again, getting drinks that were spiked unbeknownst to them. This has been bragged about by many people in the industry. Some of these people didn't even know what was going on, what was happening to them, what was being done to them. Once again, there are multiple lawsuits filed where, once again, they were somewhere with P. Devil Combs, did not give their consent to be sleeping with him or anybody else. Something got spiked. They woke up either in the middle of it or after the fact, devastated, traumatized, hurt. What he did wasn't just nasty. It was illegal. It was heinous. It was disgusting. It was horrendous. It was brutal. It was awful. It was traumatizing. That's what it was. It wasn't just some guy who went out and had sex with a bunch of people and had a bunch of bottles of baby oil littered all over the place. He was a man who ran a calculated, but still prideful, which is how he slipped up, operation, if you will. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. Where he got multiple people involved doing stuff, whether it was their will or against their will, all to satisfy the ungodly lust and lustful perversions of his flesh. After everything we've seen, after all these people who have come out once again and validated each other's stories, what they were saying, the allegations, y'all know I have to say allegations that they made, for him to sit up on social media and chalk it up to P. Devil Combs just being nasty, like that is such a slap in the face to the victims. And it's also giving, and this is not to quote another celebrity who I do not care for because he's also not a great person. It's giving either, is you stupid or is you dumb? Or, so are you on those tapes or not? If you're on those tapes, then just say that. And a lot of people were calling that out in these Instagram comments right under his video. One person right at the top says, freaky isn't the issue. Potential criminal behavior is. Nobody's saying that he couldn't be a super freak in the bedroom. We don't want to know what's going on between him and whoever else that he's screwing. Although, if he's out here having relations, if you will, with underage individuals and having relations with underage individuals against their will, y'all know I had to say allegedly, or he's out here R-wording both men and women, that is an issue that needs to be addressed. He needs to be, once again, under the prison. And it's everybody's business, especially the people of the community, because it's black people, like I said, that he was mostly doing these things to. So black people need to be the ones speaking up and speaking out. Another person said it becomes a crime when you drug, kidnap, abuse someone. None of that is normal nor consensual, since he was so confused as to why they were charging him with what they were charging him with, asking, well, when did being nasty become a crime? It's not about him being nasty. It's about what he did to people that was illegal against the law, once again, and against their consent. Another person said what I said, and I quote, it's given I might be on them tapes. with a laughing face emoji, because that's what it's given. I told y'all before, all these celebrities that are coming out and making these kind of comments, low-key basically defending P. Devil Combs, more than likely it's because they're cut from the same cloth. They've been down there to them freak-offs, allegedly. They're probably on them tapes, or they're in line with the stuff that those people were doing, having relations with underage individuals because they just want to, despite what the law says, abusing women, abusing other men who they feel like they can because they got more money or a higher position of status, etc. These celebrities are showing y'all where their allegiance is, what they support, and what they're about. And the moment they get up and they defend these other celebrities who we all know have been doing some heinous things, y'all need to act accordingly. Y'all need to see them for who they really are when they show you. Another young lady in the Instagram comments said, and I quote, "The unwilling and unconscious participants made it a crime. The freak is you talking about," end quote. And I agree with that. Once again, them telling him, what in the world are you talking about? Have you not been paying attention? So once again, there comes a point where it's not about, oh, he just wasn't paying attention. He didn't do research before he decided to open his raggedy mouth. No, it has to do with he knows exactly what's going on because he's a celebrity. He knows better than anybody else, better than the average James and Joes. He's co-signing. He's trying to cover up for this man. Whether it's because of his allegiance to Pete Devil Combs, because of who he is, what he thinks he did for the community, or because he's a black man, it's because, once again, he might be on them tapes and he wants to be known as one of the people who didn't at least throw him under the bus. In other words, he's trying to save his own rear end. Another person in the Instagram comment said, "I don't think the word nasty was stated in the charges." Basically saying, they didn't charge him for being nasty as you're trying to, like I said, use it in a fake comical way or to try to minimize what this man is being accused of. The accusations, the allegations have already been lined up. It's already there for anybody who wants to see it. So anybody who doesn't understand, it's because they don't want to. Another person in the IG comments said, "That one uncle who can't read the room to save his life." Another young lady in the IG comments said everybody speaking up are definitely on those videotapes, and the young lady underneath her said these men defending him must be on the tapes because why? And let's talk about another layer of all of this that a lot of people are not talking about, or at least I haven't seen a whole lot of people mention. You want to wonder why so many women these days are afraid to depend on men. They're afraid to trust men. And I'm not saying that it's all men, because I'm not promoting any double standards or stereotypes on this channel. There are a lot of women who refuse to trust men or depend on them because the moment one of them gets accused of doing heinous things, you've got so many other ones who come to their defense. They don't know this man personally, even if they did. Some of them will cover for what they know that they're doing wrong. So it's like, okay, what kind of message does that send to the women around you who y'all are supposed to be protecting and looking out for? What kind of message does that send to the children? Now they can't trust y'all either. And again, I'm not saying that it's all men, although it sets a pretty bad example for the rest of the ones who aren't doing these things. Another person said Cat was right about y'all all. And remember, wasn't he one of the main people who had an issue with what Cat Williams said? But I haven't seen him wrong on anything. I'm talking about Cat Williams. I haven't seen Cat Williams wrong about anything that he said so far concerning that interview. If you're in the videos, just say that. Another person said he need to worry about his blood sugar levels. Another person said. More people basically calling him out, saying if your secret's about to come out in court, just say that. This mean he in the tapes. Side glance, side look, side glare emoji. Another person said, when will black folks learn? We can't do the same stuff they do, sir. And I'm so glad that this person said this because that's another layer to the situation. P. Devil Combs is doing what he learned from higher individuals, so to speak, who don't look like him, who don't share the same skin color or race as he does. Now, why he would ever think, I don't care how rich he got and how many times he got away with it, he would ever think that he'd keep getting away with it because of those factors is beyond me. That's how you know that he got to a point of megalomania. He got to a point of pride and pretentiousness, to a point where he really felt like he was on top of the world, like he would never get caught up, like he would never have to face consequences. That is so true. Once again, I don't see a lot of people talking about it. He learned from people who didn't look like him, who get away with this kind of stuff every day, and they'll continue to do it because they're in deep with the system. He is not. Yes, he was a gatekeeper, not anymore because he is fallen. But he really thought he was going to be able to get away like them other people. That's a part of the trap. Them thinking that they can ever get to some kind of place where these other people are. Yes, you'll be able to do it because they co-sign off on it. He wanted to be where they were so bad, so he went through what he had to go through, that he chose to go through, which is why I don't feel bad for him, because he chose it to be up there and then be able to do the same things that was done to him, allegedly, to other people within his community. A lot of people keep forgetting about that. And it was all going the way he wanted it to, until once again, he thought he was on the same level of them other people. And we all know who them other people is. Another person said he drugged them for days, not giving them a choice to leave his parties. Some were underage as well, ... Also your teeth. And they made that statement because, like I said, he looked like he had just rolled out of bed. There were a lot of facepalm emojis going on in the comment section because what he said was definitely a shame before the Lord, as the old saints used to say. Another person said, "It's screaming, make me relevant again." Facepalm emoji. If you're the creepy uncle, just say that. And a lot of other people telling him basically to close his mouth because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He basically said that himself when he tried to make it seem like he was so ignorant and stupid and didn't know why he was being charged with what he's being charged with. And the whole "why is he being charged for being nasty" comment. Since he didn't know so much, people who don't know so much concerning a certain situation or anything at all for that matter don't need to be speaking on it. So that whole video, he could have saved himself about a good 2.5 minutes of his time. Another young lady said, and I quote, "It is a federal crime when you force other people to be nasty with you." He could have had 1 million people who wouldn't have mind being nasty with him, but he one of the ones who didn't want to. All these celebrities, she puts in quotes, that are still supporting him. I can't wait to see y'all tapes. That is another layer of this. I'm so glad that she mentioned that a lot of people don't think about. I'm sure there are 1 million people somewhere who would have wanted to do any and everything that that man asked them to do and then some. Didn't matter how nasty it was. Didn't matter how ungodly it was. There are people out there who would have did it for him. But he went out and allegedly got the people who didn't, because people like him take pleasure in breaking people, traumatizing people, hurting them beyond repair or almost beyond repair. Taking people who they know they will not give their consent to him and still trying to force them to do it. Y'all gotta understand that there's a deep demonic evil in a person who doesn't want to do those things with somebody who wants to consensually do them with them. Only wants to do these things to people who don't want to do them consensually. Only wants to force people to do things that they don't want to do. There is a deep-rooted evil in a person who wants to force people to do things against their will, who takes pleasure in that. That's why he's got to go. That's why he's got to go under the prison. And everybody who supported him, they need charges too, if you ask me. Because that's not a mentality we need running amok in our communities and societies. This last comment I'm going to read that came from the IG comments said, "Buddy gonna be next. Keep talking." And I want them to keep talking. I want them all to talk. I want them all to be prideful and pretentious and get beside themselves, just like P. Devil Combs did. Remember what we said about pride? That it comes before a fall. And that's what's happening to him right now. He's falling off of the pedestal that people have put him on. I want them all to be prideful enough to get beside themselves. To try and come out of the woodwork because they're triggered by people promoting what's right, what's godly, promoting not hurting people, not screwing with people underage if you're an adult. I want them all to come out and say what they have to say so we can know who they are, so we can see them for who they are, so we can throw them under the same bus that we're throwing P. Devil Combs and the people of his ilk under right at this moment. And also so that even if they weren't directly involved with something illegal, once again, we'll see them for who they are. So the next time they're in a movie, they're doing a stand-up, they're at some game that they are participating in, they're an athlete, whatever it is, we can say, "Oh, we remember when you did XYZ, when you said XYZ, when you co-signed a man who beat women, who beat men, who R-worded men and women, allegedly, who trafficked children, allegedly. We're not supporting nothing that you do." I told y'all before, when they show you who they are, believe them the first time and then act accordingly. We have the power as the consumers to make these people go broke if they want to act crazy, if they want to act stupid, if they want to promote hurting people and doing ungodly things, especially to their own people. It's up to us, though, at the end of the day, to hold them accountable. Like I said, when they come out and they start showing their true colors, We need to stop supporting them. People need to withdraw their money, their hard-earned dollars, and show them you got two choices. Either you can act right or you're going to be broke, because we're not going to make sure that you have a platform or a career for that matter. You will fade into obscurity. As a sidebar, he really should have knew better. Well, what can we expect from the likes of Faizon Love? But he really should have knew better, because the last few people who made some very ignorant comments where P. Devil Combs was concerned, minimizing what he did or co-signing what he did, ended up having to eat their words. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.